2.
Hi, Lee Furseth from the Headwaters Science Center in Bemidji, Minnesota. Our first information for you today is when we're open. We're open 7 days a week, and we plan to be open 7 days a week for a long time, at least for the entire summer. And we are recording this live on April 13th. So we're coming to you live on April 13th, and we plan to stay open 7 days a week. Now, Monday through Saturday is 9:30 to 5 o'clock. Sundays are always 1 to 5. I'm telling you all of that because we've made a decision that we're so busy these days that we're going to take a little break from doing books and doing 3:30 shows. So we have this show, and then we have next week's shows, and then we're going to stop come about May 1st. We're going to stop and not do shows for May, June, July, and August. So maybe we'll see you next September. This show and next show, still you can tune in. So what are we talking about today? The show is called The Night Gardener. I got it from the Bemidji Public Library, The Night Gardener, and that's the book I'm going to read for you. Well, would you like to see some of the pictures? You know, sometimes authors and illustrators, they care about what's in the front cover. So they even put some pictures right there. The tribute page for Mom and Dad, says the author. And then there's an opening picture for you. I think it would be important for today's show for you to look at his tools of his trade. The Night Gardener, Terry Fan and Eric Fan. William looked out his window to find a commotion on the street. He quickly dressed, ran downstairs, and raced out the door to discover this piece of punctuation, ... is one of my favorite pieces of punctuation. It's one of my favorites, ... because if you're reading out loud to somebody, ... which is, by the way, called an ellipse, means the reader gets to pause for as long as he wants. ... What you're hoping the listener is doing is going, I could finish the sentence all by myself. And then you get to find out if you're actually right.
The question is, I never know with your books if it's supposed to rhyme or not. When it's supposed to rhyme, I try and predict it.
Aha. That's a good one, Ryan. William looked out his window to find a commotion on the street. He quickly dressed, ran downstairs, and raced out the door to discover the wise old owl had appeared overnight. I don't think we got a poem today. The wise old owl had appeared overnight as if by magic. William spent the whole day staring at it in wonder. Now, for all of the ... we paused to figure it out. I bet you not very many of you were guessing that it was going to be that. Staring at it in wonder. William spent the whole day staring at it in wonder. And he continued to stare until it became too dark to see. That night, he went to sleep with a sense of excitement. The following morning, William was not disappointed. Each day, William discovered a new topiary. Next was a friendly rabbit, followed by a pretty parakeet. And then a playful elephant. With each new sculpture, the crowds grew and grew. Something was happening on Grimlock Lane. Something good. The next day, William dashed out of his house and followed the crowd, only to find ... the most magnificent masterpiece yet. Do you like what's happening over here? Festivities continued long after the sun had set. As William was about to head home, he spotted someone unfamiliar. Would we put this person in the stranger category?
Yes.
Unfamiliar? Stranger? So he spots someone who is unfamiliar. Could it be Grimlock Park? The gentleman turned to William. There are so many trees in this park, he said. I could use a little help. It was the night gardener. Under the light of the moon, under the light of the full moon, they worked deep into the night. William awoke to the sound of happy families walking by and a gift from the night gardener. The whole town had come out to admire the night gardener's and William's hard work. Over time, the leaves changed. And then fell until there was no evidence that the night gardener had ever been to Grimlock Lane. But the people of the small town were never quite the same. And neither was William. All right, so I went to the public library, got this book. It was from the nonfiction side of the library. Dare I say it's even from the fantasy side of the library.
From the fiction side.
What did I say?
Non-fiction.
Oh, so sorry. Thanks for staying right with me, Ryan. Every once in a while, when your head's going faster than your mouth, you should slow one of them down. Or speed the other one up. But in this case, I should slow my mind down to tell you that I went to the fiction side of the library. Dare I say the fantasy side. Got this book. I'm not sure it's the fantasy side because I got to the question of, could this have happened? Could this happen? Could they, in fact, cut the trees to make them end up looking like that? Could that happen?
I think we should say you probably shouldn't do that, especially on a public street. Somebody was going around cutting trees in downtown Bemidji, they'd probably get in trouble.
We're a science center, so we go for the scientific question. Ryan is over here on the ethical side of the question, maybe a social science question.
The ethical
Yeah.
side, it's the legal side.
Yeah. I went over to the children's side of the nonfiction part of the library, and I hunted for a book on pruning. Does it surprise you one bit? I didn't find any. So then I went to the adult side of the Bemidji Public Library, or I should at least say the wordy side, to see if there are any books on pruning. Here's a book on pruning. The copyright's 1980, so this book is maybe 40 years old, probably more than 40 years old. And would it still be true today? Well, let's read and find out. Want to direct your shrub's growth? Even create living sculptures in your landscape? Here's how. This would be getting the first hint towards, well, that maybe that could happen. Pruning can direct shrubs' growth, improve their health, and increase their production of flowers and fruit. Pruning lets you direct growth to balance a shrub that is lopsided. That's not exactly what they were doing in that book. Keep a small shrub small and compact. That's not really what they were doing. Make one grow taller or open up the space. I don't think any of those is what was applying to all of that. It then goes on to explain pruning styles, when to prune, types of pruning, of which there are 4: heading, thinning, pinching, and shearing. Kind of looks like the tool that the master gardener left William, doesn't it? If you take a look at that one, this is beginning to look a little bit like what we were seeing in the book, the other book. And there's that term, topiaries. Here's some possible tools: pruning shears, hedge trimmers, hedge shears, pruning loppers, in a pruning saw. You could do that kind of thing, so you could have it run along your fence. Talks about hedges and first cuts, second cuts, third cuts, fourth cuts. In this case, trying to get it to grow much more, so you could end up with a hedge like that. You could revitalize old shrubs. You cut away the old stuff, see if new stuff comes back. Maybe you just want to cut it back. Cut it back so that some new growth that can come out. Before I moved to Bemidji, both of my houses prior to this, I grew raspberries. You're going to want to prune back your raspberries, because otherwise your raspberries will eventually stop bearing fruit. Cut out all the old stuff, and pretty soon you have way more raspberries. Maybe you want to do it because they're not clinging very well to the trellis or fence. And now we're done with that whole piece. So, today I was reading to the spider plant. Why? Well, we were talking about plants. And today, instead of reading to an animal, I read to the spider plant. And I just know that spider plants send out shoots like this. And that technique of pinching off is one you could do. You could pinch off this one. Hey, live on camera, should we do it? Okay. Pinch it off. And then this one we could go plant. I always put them in water first. Put it into dirt, and then off we go with the plant. Sorry, put it over here. For the time being, I'm just going to set it back in there. That's our show today. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the show. We were reading to a plant today. We read a book called The Night Gardener. There's going to be a show that follows this one up. You will hear some of the ideas around